This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? Happy belated birthday, man. How you doing?
Hey, thank you, man. And thank you to everyone who reached out to me by either voicemail, text, or social media. However you want to look at it, I greatly appreciate it. Made an old man feel young again, or younger, shall I say.
Shoot. Old? You ain't that old, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, bro, if you only knew. But I'm going to keep that to myself.
I hear you, man.
I just look good for my age.
No, I was out last night playing pickleball for 3 hours with this group I hang out with out here at the beach. And I've been playing since January, so I'm kind of new to this whole thing. And these guys are like, oh, well, you're just a kid. You know, you'll catch up soon. I'm like, I'm in my 40s. I'm not a kid. I don't feel like a kid. I spent like $1,000 on these compression boots to go on my legs so I can recover faster, right? And it's like, I'm not buying that type of stuff if I'm actually a kid. So, and it's all relative because I think some of those guys are in their 60s. And one guy, well, I want to see this guy's birth certificate. He says he's 70. He moves around faster than some 30-year-olds. So I don't know if he's on some HGH or what he's on. Maybe you and him are on the same diet, but
well, wait. I'm not that old, brother. No, I ain't claiming that.
I'm just saying the way you move around, you know what I mean? Because you're on your bike, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that. So, you know, it's however how you feel. You're as old as how you feel is what I'm trying to say.
That's what they say, but okay. Do the compression socks work for you?
So they're oh yeah, man. These nomadic boots made by Hyperice.
Mm-hmm.
So they go on your legs and it goes at different, I guess, degrees of intensity. You can make it specify with a different part of your leg. I had a swollen knee for a couple of weeks. It would just act up ever since I use these in the morning before I go play. And then after I'm done, dude, I feel fine. I can go back out for a couple more hours. These things are actually worth it, worth every single penny, which I did not want to admit ahead of time because the wife had been bugging me to buy them. But damn, these things are good.
So is this one of those things where the wife is always right type of deal?
I'm not going to say always. This might be time number 7 since we've been together. Right. But I mean, yeah, this was one of the ones where she got it. So I'll give her a little air horn. But you know, usually she's right. I just
I gotta tell you, yeah, I've been looking at something like that for myself after these bicycle rides because let's face it, the older that you get, you know, your body does not come back as fast that it used to. So I'm looking at something like that myself. So I'm gonna have to. We'll talk offline and we'll go from there and find out a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I'll send you the one I got. I mean, it's pretty sweet and it's completely intact. It's all battery powered. You don't got to hook it up to a wall. Nice. There's no hoses. I can literally bust this thing out at the tailgate if I wanted to and just sit there in my chair, smoke my cigar, drink my beer, and have someone else cook. I mean, it's super portable.
So it goes all the way up over your knees, ankles up to knees?
All the way up to awkwardly like your groin. I mean, it goes.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets everything, man. All the lactic acid, like everything out. So it's pretty sweet.
Nice.
Considering, you know, how much bike riding you do, it's like B Mitch just got done with that century ride to Dewey Beach.
Oh yeah, you need it.
And yeah, I mean, if I'm him, I'm, you know, rocking that thing immediately after. And I know he's older than both of us, so shoot. But he's also got more money than both of us, so he could probably have a pair of these in every single house.
This is definitely true.
But glad to see you got a chance to relax, got out of here, you know, and now we finally got the first preseason game coming up this Saturday. How much of it you plan on watching?
Oh, all of it. I'm gonna watch all of it. And
you gonna watch it live, or are you gonna watch it after the fact? Because it's at 12 o'clock on Saturday.
Now, when you say watch it live, do you mean in the audience live or on television live? Which one do you mean?
On TV live.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna watch it on television. I'm gonna DVR it as well as I'm gonna watch it on television.
So I just don't get me wrong. I love his team, right? It's the first preseason game against the Jets. where we're not going to see anything. It's going to be so vanilla. But obviously, I want to see it. I just don't know if I want to sit there at 12 o'clock on one of the last Saturdays in the summer watching just garbage preseason. So
Well,
I feel like I'm going to watch it after the fact.
I'm going to tell you why I want to watch it, just like 99.9% of our fan base wants to watch it. Jayden's getting the start. And as vanilla as it may be, I want to see the young man for the first time in burgundy and gold. That's what I want to see. And no one's going to take that away from me. We've been waiting all this time to see that young man in burgundy and gold suit up, and the time has come. So the ratings are probably going to be through the roof. I'll say that.
Oh, there definitely will be. And I know some of our listeners right now are probably thinking, like, what? Ted's not going to watch it live. Let me preface this by saying we've got some 8 to 10 foot waves coming into the beach this weekend because of little Debbie coming to town. So I
And not the
might
snack
be,
cakes.
no, not the snack cakes. That storm from Florida is making its way up here. So I might be in the ocean come time, and I'm going to shut my cell phone off, put on do not disturb, because I don't want anyone to spoil anything for me. But this is actually what Dan Quinn had to say about Jayden starting on Saturday.
Is Jayden Daniels QB1 on the first depth chart? And will
On the
he
first
start?
unofficial depth chart, he is.
Will he start Saturday?
The first unofficial depth chart,
Okay.
he will.
So did you have any doubt? Because they hadn't named Jayden QB1. And this is the first unofficial depth chart. So not sure if that even really matters. But did you have any doubt that Jayden would start this Saturday, or do you think Marcus was going to start?
Well, we've been talking about this for a while now, and we know that they did not bring Mariota here to start. Jayden is your number one guy, and I've always said if the ones are out there, the true ones, if the ones are out there, that young man needs to be out there with the ones. And the minute that you pull the ones, you pull him as well. So in my mind, it's never been a doubt. I think that a lot of the fans possibly may have doubted, and some of the sports analysts may have doubted it. But as far as the captain was concerned, nah, I said start him, put him out there so that he can get those reps. He needs it, and we all want him to have it, because what we don't want is that double-edged sword where we say, man, we might have won more games only if he would have had more time in preseason. You just don't want to put yourself in a position that way. It makes him feel happy, it makes the team feel happy, and it makes the fan base who's actually paying your salary happy.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's starting. I know the junkies, I was out here listening to him at 6 o'clock this morning. They had, I want to say maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours where they were just getting pissed off and getting worked up because they were saying, well, if Jayden doesn't start versus the Jets, this is going to be Dan Quinn's first strike against them. And I'm paraphrasing, but
Right.
EB was just getting all angry. And next thing you know, JP Finley tweets out Jayden Daniels starting. So they just wasted an hour and a half for something that was, just getting all worked up for nothing. And I get they got 4 hours to cover. And it is what it is. But I'm happy to see that more so Jayden earned the right to start. I don't think they're just letting him start because he was the second pick in the draft. I think he really outplayed Marcus from everything I'm hearing from fans that were out there, analysts that were out there, and people that I trust in the industry. And this is actually what DQ had to say about the thought behind making Jayden QB1 so far.
With Jayden, you guys have been very careful to make sure he's in the competition and all that. When it comes to making him a QB1 for this game and all that, what's the thought behind it, and how do you make sure you still kind of, go about the competitive aspect?
Yeah, I think a lot of it drives into some of the practice as well. And really, John, he's earned that right to do that. And so through the course of, all the practices, you're keeping track of accuracy and completions and decisions of where it goes. And so it was really a byproduct of him, really nailing those moments. And so, like I said, we're just going through the whole process, but it's good to see when there's markers set, you get that one, then you get to the next one, and you get to the next one. And the good news is Jayden and Brandon and Mike Sainristil and others, they're the type of competitors that want to go after things. And so for them, having some markers to go after, I think that's a really good thing because that really suits their personality and their competitive nature as well.
Is Jayden maybe a little bit further ahead than you had anticipated at this point?
I had high expectations for him coming in, but I would say he's definitely surpassed even my expectations of the readiness, the command. I knew he was going to be cool, you know, knowing the system, like he's just got that way about him. But yet you do see the other players gravitate toward him. They recognize how hard he's worked at it. And I'd also be mistaken to say Marcus has had a really good camp too. And so this was not, you know, something that's easy to do. That's what real competition's about. And I couldn't think of a better, you know, teammate than Marcus for Jayden. The quarterback room, like I said, has just been remarkable.
So I trust DQ when he says that it's been a competition. We all know when Rivera was here, it wasn't a competition. I mean, realistically, they did Brisket wrong if they told Brisket it was actually going to be a competition. And I'm not surprised Jacoby had that phantom hamstring where he didn't want to play at the end of the season because he just wanted to go someplace else where he actually get a real shot. I just truly think that Jayden's won over some of these vets and won over the coaching staff and the team, and he has earned the right to start. And you talk about the starting offensive line, some of these guys are actually banged up right now. So Andrew Wiley's banged up right now. Brandon Coleman didn't practice today. A couple other guys didn't practice. So it's Tuesday when we're recording this. Game's not until Saturday. And I don't think the joint practice is until Thursday. So some of the guys hopefully are going to get back out there. I'm concerned with what we're going to see from Jayden because there was actually a question I want to say that Sam Fortier had during a press conference of when do you kind of know when to use your athleticism and your legs versus when do you want to get down and slide? And paraphrasing Jayden here, he said, basically, I want to use my legs when I can. You know, I want to go for it. And that part scares me and worries me a little bit with him getting out there. And I'm hoping we see him, but how much do you want to see of Jayden versus Jets? And how much do you think we're actually going to see? Maybe from a drive perspective or snap perspective.
I probably would expect to see him, I'd say at least the first two series. After that, you know, or one or two series, or whenever they feel that he left the game on a win or a high note, so to speak, if that makes sense. I think that you want to see, they want to see him go through the progressions. They want to be able to see him make the right decisions. And I think if they see that in the first initial drive, they may pull him then. I mean, what they have is they're going to have a lot of tape on this joint practice, and that's what I think is fueling a lot of this. But we know game time situation is totally different than practice. So whatever the young man can go out on a high, let's say they may have him scheduled for, I'm just using this number, 10 plays, but on the 8th play, he looks really good. Those 1 through 8 plays, he looks really good. I can see them pulling him in and say, we've seen enough, okay? And we will continue to work behind closed doors to be able to put our packages into play. I don't want to see him any more than, like I told you, my biggest thing, Ted, is if the ones are out there, as long as they're out there, he should be out there because that is the makeup of his team. And as far as these guys, Coleman and Wiley, not being there right now, I do believe that we will see them on Saturday. That's what I believe, that they will get better. Whatever's ailing them right now, they'll get better, and we'll see them on Saturday for however long that the grown-ups in the room need to see them. What about you?
Yeah, I think you're right. And this is actually what DQ had to say about practice reps versus the Jets versus game reps.
It also is about the practices too, because guys like Jayden will get more, you know, reps in those practices than they likely will in the games. And so they count a lot too. And that's why I'm a proponent of the practices and doing it one day, off day, then play the game. I really like that format.
So that goes into me not caring about it as much live, because I think we're going to see 2 drives tops of Jayden out there. I don't think we're going to get any more than that. It's just tough, though, because you only have 3 preseason games. Odds are he's not going to play in the 3rd and final preseason game, even though there's still a couple more weeks before the regular season. I just doubt we're going to see him then. I'm hoping against the Dolphins we see him an entire half, but who knows if that's actually what's going to happen, because, you talk, he's got to be behind the ones, right? I don't want him going up there and he's got, a bunch of other, 3rd string, 4th string offensive linemen in front of him because we're banged up for whatever reason. So if he gets considerable reps and work against the Jets in that Thursday practice, then I'm fine. If he gets 1 drop, I don't care. I was actually shocked. The Panthers said Bryce Young, their rookie quarterback they had last year that they drafted overall, isn't playing at all in their preseason game. So it's kind of, considering how bad the Panthers were last year, you would think that you'd want to get that team and that kid as many reps as possible. But every coach has their own, methodology about this entire thing. It's just, I trust DQ because he used to be a player and he knows what's best for his guys. I'm thinking like you, it's going to be 2 series, 2 drives, except even if he ends it with a pick, I don't think they're going to put him back out there. Right. I just think that they're going to try and see what he can do. And this, to me, we'll see what kind of play caller Cliff Kingsbury is. Right. Is he going to make sure that Jayden gets it out of his hands quick, not put him in some of those sticky situations? How's he going to be? Because this is the first time going up against other people other than practice. And I wonder if the Jets are going to stream that practice. I hope they are. I'm just not sure if they will be, because I'd take off on Thursday just to watch the practice, because that to me is a lot more important than catching this game.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering, are they going to YouTube it or figure out some way to stream it so that people can see it a little bit like Baltimore did? That'll be one of the biggest questions I think that we need to ask. But nevertheless, even if they don't, I'll be glued to the TV on Saturday. And now, after he exits and he makes his debut, I may turn it off then, but my eyes will be glued to see number 5 in the burgundy and gold.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And maybe I can maybe the iPad will get good enough signal out there at the beach and I can watch it from there in between some sets, but we'll see how it goes. But this is actually what DQ had to say about what he gets out of the joint practices. And keep in mind, we didn't have any of these, because other than last year with the Ravens, when Ron was here, we didn't do a joint practice with anybody. I don't feel that anyone really wanted to deal with us or come to town to practice with us. And now we're finally doing it with 2 teams. So I'm looking forward to it. This is what DQ
Adults are running the team now, man.
They definitely are, man. It's a breath of fresh air.
This week, you get to go to Jersey and joint practice. What do you get out of those, per se?
A lot. I think, one, you get also some evaluations check, against different people in different situations. This rusher, this defense, this front, this look, those are the things that you like, when you're seeing a matchup. It's not necessarily scheme related. It's just seeing, I'm looking forward to seeing Brandon Coleman. They've got some good rushers on the outside, and what a good test for him. So it's like a small example like that to say, all right, whether it's their defense, our offense, their, however that goes, the balance of it, that's usually what I'm looking for into that spot. It's, in some instances, it's even better than the games, because as coaches, we can script, with their guys, hey, I'd like to see this matchup. Yep, good with that. Let's call this. So having that type of, conversation helps a lot. And so having, the ability to communicate with Robert and Nathaniel and Brick, that helps, because then Cliff and Joe and the guys, we can all be on the same page. Yep, want to see this, want to see that. And that's how we all get better.
Did you have a chance to see the Commanders' new depth chart, the unofficial depth chart?
I took a glance at it, and from what I saw, everything looked to be in place. I mean, what we as fans need to do is trust the guys that are hired. And I think that obviously because they spend so much time with these guys watching rep after rep, they know where those guys need to be as far as on the depth chart is concerned. So I'm satisfied with it. Are you satisfied?
So I'm happy about it. I'm surprised about a couple of different things. I'm
Okay.
surprised that Brandon Coleman beat out Cornelius Lucas already. Right?
Why?
I mean, because he's a rookie at that point, and
Okay.
Luke has been here. I'm happy to see that though, because to me that was my big question going into camp. Can Brandon Coleman be that starting left tackle?
Mm-hmm.
So to have Brandon start over Luke in the first game to me is massive. And I don't see Dan Quinn and the guys doing something to hype up people's ego and help them out. I think that means that Coleman won out and it's his spot. And this is actually what DQ had to say about Brandon.
Brandon Coleman, what have you liked from him, and is he a starter on the unofficial depth chart?
Yes, he is. And he's really had a good camp. I've seen a couple things that happened. We were referring to some injuries earlier. So when Wiley went down in practice, we moved Brandon over to right tackle for 20, 25 snaps that day. No problem. And he's just got a good demeanor. He's very intentional about his practice. And but both he and Jayden have earned that right, to start for this first preseason game. Like I said to you, everybody earlier, this is the first good step, and that's what it should be.
So we heard all the stats about his RAS score, his athleticism. I mean, I know everyone's gonna be looking at Jayden, right? You can't help but want to watch him. Having played offensive line, not at a very competitive level, I'm just talking high school, I've always gravitated to watching the linemen. I want to see how Coleman can hold up, because one of the main reasons why I didn't want to trade for Aiyuk, on top of the fact that I thought it was ridiculous, he's a drama queen, it's way too much money, is we don't know if we have the right offensive line. And left tackle, we haven't had a left tackle. I'm sorry, no offense to Charles Leno, but we haven't had a left tackle since Big Trent, right? And no one can, fit in Trent's shoes. But if Coleman can actually truly be the one guy, then that is a massive hole, because left tackles do not hit free agency. If you are a good left tackle, and once again, no offense to Charles that was here, but if you're a good left tackle, you do not hit free agency. You get franchise, you stay with your team, you don't get traded. You have to find them in the draft. And seeing that, once again, he is going to be that guy for now, to me speaks volumes, because nobody had Brandon Coleman being a starting left tackle for this team right off the bat. A lot of the pundits thought he was going to be a guard.
It just goes to show you, you never can underestimate the will of a person. And obviously, he knew why they brought him here. And it's situations like that make you quell the naysayers. And I'm very happy, because that shows me that obviously a big spotlight was placed on the kid. And he says, okay, all right, I know I got a lot of doubters. Well, it's my job to eat right, work harder in the weight room, and get myself mentally prepared for this, because I want this, and I'm going to show you guys why I deserve it. And so it speaks volumes of the new mindset that the players, as well as the coaches, even fans have. There's a new mindset. We aren't just, fans were never here just getting a paycheck, but those players that may have been here, and I'm not saying that Leno was here just to get a paycheck, so nobody quote me on that and tell his wife or anybody in his family that the captain said that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's a new attitude for where these guys want to show and prove, and they really want to work their butts off for Dan Quinn and company. And now you've anointed him the position. It's just a matter of now, how does he stack up against another colored jersey?
Yeah, I want to see, because communication is massive, right? I mean, he's protecting Jayden's blind side. So to have a starting rookie quarterback and a starting left tackle, at least you have a veteran center like Tyler Badass in the middle there. And, you've got some guys that can be able to help out. But I want to see how that goes. Is he going to do what he needs to? And I'm hoping we're going to see him out there with more than just the ones, because I feel that he needs a ton of reps. Were you as surprised as me to see that Olamide was ranked over Luke McCaffrey? Because all of the pictures, the videos, and the highlights that the team has been sending out, you see Luke catching balls. I haven't really heard anyone talk about Olamide, and maybe because they can't pronounce his name and it's, a tongue twister. But I was kind of shocked to see that he was higher up on the depth chart than Luke was.
Not me per se. And the reason being is because McCaffrey has family tradition, whereas Zacchaeus has actual professional ball playing time / tradition. So OZ, as I'm going to call him, because I can't pronounce his last name, but OZ, he's been there at the highest level with the Eagles. He's caught touchdown passes in the NFL. So I can see where that experience can beat McCaffrey out. I can see that. And once again, I have to go by who has the most eyes on right now. And that's those coaches. Those coaches know what they're looking for. It may have been an attitude issue, or it may have been something very minute that put him in front of McCaffrey. We won't know. But what makes a difference is what they see on the field and what they see on the film. What we as fans see, a quick highlight and snapshot, is one aspect, but what those guys see behind closed doors and film sessions is another. So I'm okay with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm surprised in some of the different things there. I mean, you talk about experience, like Cornelius Lucas has, granted, he hasn't been a starter. He's been, a swing tackle and playing other positions, but he's had a hell of a lot more reps than Coleman, right? And Zacchaeus, okay, he played in 17 games. He only had 10 catches last year for the Eagles. So in his entire career, he's been in the league since 2019. So he played for Dan Quinn, which I don't know if that's why he's doing it. I highly doubt it. But he played for Quinn in 2019 and 2020 when Quinn was out there, or 19. And since then, he's been in the league. He's only had 72 catches. So it's not like the guy's a barn burner. I would want to see what McCaffrey can do against the Jets ones, right? What he can actually do against their cream of the crop. Because to me, like Cornelius Lucas, he's a journeyman. He's a guy that I'm not hanging my hat on, but iron sharpens iron, right? How long have we been saying that for years with our defensive line and our offensive line? Well, let's see because this Jets defense is a damn good defense.
Definitely.
Let's see what these guys can do against it. And it's the first game, and the practice is really what matters, and it is what it is. But I was also surprised to see that Emmanuel Forbes was on the back of that depth chart. So he's backing up Benjamin St. Juice. Unofficial, yes, unofficial.
Yeah.
So,
well, once again, man, I mean, it comes down to the number of eyes when they are collectively watching the tape and saying, you know what, he's got to get better on this aspect, or right now, St. Juice is a step faster than him, or whatever the case may be. So, as I said when we first opened up the pod, I don't have a problem with it, and I know you're surprised, but to a degree, at this juncture, I'm not surprised about anything that this command staff does as far as player personnel is concerned, because they know the type of player that they want playing for them and starting. Now, this also could be something that is used as a motivator for Forbes or anybody else that feels they should be first team. Nobody, they're not going to give it to you. You got to take it. So get out there, do what you got to do, and reclaim what you feel is yours. If not, you'll be that second, third, etc.
Yeah, and maybe surprise isn't the right word with Forbes. It's more so disappointed, right? Because he was a first round pick. And I'm disappointed that, granted, it seems like everybody Ron Rivera drafted has just been a waste. I mean, Jamin
Yeah.
Davis, you're hearing stories about, is Jamin even going to make the team? Right. And maybe this is people just talking because they're trying to get people to listen right now and it's clickbait and this and that. But you're hearing that Jaden's not getting any reps with the linebackers. He's primarily a down lineman rushing, right, in passing situations. So Forbes, right, our last first round pick, he's backing up Benjamin St. Juice. Well, Mike Sanders still, St. Juice and Michael Davis are out there starting. So it's things like that that remind me of the Vinny Serrato years where we just wasted draft picks. Your first round draft pick should be on your team for at least 5 years contributing.
Agreed.
And Jamin, I mean, Chase is gone. He's out there in New Orleans right now, probably having a hurricane and living up life.
Yeah.
Jamin, not doing much, right? I mean, Jahan
that we know of. Let's put it in perspective. That we know of. I have a feeling, Ted, that they're doing more with that young man than what meets the eye. Now, granted, it's just me. I don't have a camera on camp on the camp as far as games are concerned, but I honestly feel that they are not going to allow Jamin's talent to go to waste. They're going to use him in certain situations that technically he should have been used in to begin with the prior administration. So as we know, these guys are putting these pieces together. And if he is just used in certain situations, I'm okay with it as long as we are getting the best out of the young man. And we know him wearing the green dot was not getting the best out of him. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
So put him in a position to where he can hunt, he can eat, he can do what he needs to do and flourish in the league. We always say that this league has a lot of second chances. And so this could be his second chance, if you will, a new administration. And we've heard the guys say, you know what, this is a breath of fresh air. So put him in a position to where you can utilize his length, his speediness, and his natural hunting ability, So I think he'll be all right.
I really think, go ahead, shoot.
I think he'll be all right.
I don't think he's on this team next year. I think the writing was on the wall when they didn't extend his fifth-year option. And I think he's gone this year. Unless he gets double-digit sacks, I don't see them bringing him back. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens because I think they're putting his hand in the dirt because they don't want him to have to think. They want him to just go after the quarterback. And that's not what he was drafted for. That's not where he was taken 19th overall in the draft. And it'll be interesting to see what happens because you talked about, watching Jayden's first series. The reason why I want to go back and watch the entire thing is because these other guys that are question marks. What is Jayden going to do? And granted, we're not going to see any stunts, any exotic blitzes, this and that, but he wasn't even getting the simple stuff, right? And Emmanuel wasn't getting the simple stuff. So if things are dumbed down and vanilla, are these guys going to actually be able to keep up? And that's what I want to see versus the Jets on Saturday. Can they keep up? Because we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers. They're not going to be going against the Jets number ones being real out there. So what's going to happen? And who knows? All I know is we actually have a game to watch for the first time because no offense to the commander staff that's sending out the videos. Obviously, they're not going to send out a video of Jayden throwing a pick or Jahan dropping a ball or B-Rob getting stripped by Sanders-Still.
That'll be terrible marketing.
I mean, you got to hype up both sides, right? Like Ryan Clark was out there, former Washington Redskin with the Pivot podcast, and he was getting on the fans because the fans were only cheering for the offensive plays, right? He was saying, cheer for the defense too. And I would like to see the defense making plays on some of these highlights they're putting out there. I don't think it's fair. And I get it. Offense sells tickets, but give those defensive guys their props too. If they actually do something, I would have loved to have seen that clip of Sanders still stripping that ball on that run back that everyone's been talking about. But I mean, maybe it's out there. I haven't seen it. If our listeners seen it, send it to me. I'd love to see it. But, you know, you see highlights of Jahan catching a bomb and Terry catching a bomb and McCaffrey. I want to see more than just that. That's just me being selfish.
Well, one thing's for sure, in 3 days in a wake up, you will, my brother, along with everybody else. So be prepared, the good and the bad.
We've had a lot of bad. I'm okay now. I got an iron stomach. I can handle some of it. So, but one thing we're not going to see is the Commanders are officially out on Brandon Aiyuk. Just came out today. Matt Miyoko from San Francisco said that the 49ers gave permission to Aiyuk to negotiate potential contracts with the Browns, Patriots, Commanders, and Steelers. Source said the Commanders have removed themselves from trade talks for Aiyuk, and the Steelers effectively no longer are an option after they declined to meet the 49ers trade demands. The Browns and Patriots have given their best offers to Aiyuk's camp while also presenting trade proposals that the 49ers have accepted. The source said the 49ers likely would acquire a veteran wide receiver and a package of draft picks from the Browns or the Pats. Now that we're officially out of it, did you ever think that this was potentially going to happen?
Well, I'm a person that never believes in saying never. So until it's inked someplace else, anything can happen. And that's just how it is. I believe that I'm glad that it, to a degree, I'd say that it's 90% over at least, because there's still a 10% chance that anything can happen. Will it happen with us? The odds get even less, because we aren't obviously going to auction off the farm, as they say, to get one player when we still have needs. So I'm glad that it's finally off the table for us, even though there is just a slimmer that anything can happen. But for the most part, the door can be closed. So I'm happy about that. So we can move on. You know, we had the little headache, a bump in the road with the footage or the tape or the picture, if you will, of him that Jayden shared. Okay, that was a bad mark. It just was. And now, obviously, he wants a lot of chips. We've got chips, but we don't want to give him those chips. We want to give it to somebody else, or we're going to hold it. We're going to hold our chips until next season or whatever have you. So it's good. Let him move on. Let him move on.
So the Browns are offering in that trade Amari Cooper. So they want a number one wide receiver for a number one wide receiver. So if we were going to realistically be in this trade, we would be offering up Terry and some draft picks.
And
for me,
doing that.
Too high, too much. I ain't doing that. I'm guessing be the same for you.
Yeah. Not willing to part ways with Terry or future draft picks. We are rebuilding, and we are rebuilding well. Let's keep up the great work.
Yeah, I agree with you. You've got, and you know, I love our fellow fans, and they come up with so many hypotheticals. Like, there was actually one that said, let's offer De'Ami Brown and a second and a third for Aiyuk. Why the hell would the 49ers, who are the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year, want De'Ami Brown? Right? I don't even know if De'Ami Brown's going to make this squad. Why would the Niners do that? It's just, you know, it makes no sense. Just be real about it. Like, offer something. And this to me is people playing Madden because you can make different trades with the computer and going back and forth and like, oh, I'm the best Madden GM because I just fleeced him for Derrick Henry and I gave him, you know, a punter and something else. Like, this ain't Madden, right? This is the real world. This is Adam Peters, and he's not going to sacrifice the future of this team. The future of this team has been so bleak because we're looking at this unofficial depth chart now. 2/3 of this roster is new, and the other 1/3 of it, Ron Rivera's guys, are struggling to even be on this team or be on, first team or even second team here, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and why the hell would we do that. And on top of that, there was Ian Rappaport talking about how Aiyuk has all the power because even though he doesn't have a no trade clause, he can say, okay, well, if you trade me to the Browns for Amari Cooper, I'm not going to sign a long-term deal with the Browns. So why would the Browns even want to do that, right? Why are they going to even give that up? So even though they could trade him, the Browns are going to say, no, we don't want to trade you anymore because Aiyuk refuses to negotiate with us. So it's a headache, man. And I am so relieved that all of those headaches so far have been gone since the Hogs have taken over, since we've got this new group here, since we've got Peters here. We haven't had to have those ugly negotiations, and who knows what's going to happen next year with John Allen coming up on his deal with no guaranteed money. But right now, I am enjoying the fact that we are not the poison or the cancer that people talk about. And to me, that's the Niners and that's the Giants and some of these other teams with all their drama. And let everyone else, let them play Madden while we're just sitting here focused on the actual real game.
Yeah. I tell you what, here's an off the field question. We know that they just tore down the FedEx Field sign, their sponsors, FedEx. Who do you think the sponsor is going to be?
Oh, I didn't know they pulled the sign down.
Yeah, they took the sign down all over the field, where on the building, all the signs that said FedEx Field, those are all gone. So I'm wondering now who's going to be the sponsor. Watch it be UPS or somebody like that.
Well, I know they're changing the parking lot colors because I'm in gold G now, and I was an orange G for the past 20 years. So it's going to be, I got to update my website for the tailgate and all this other stuff and make sure everyone knows where they're going. And I got to talk to the team about updating ways and everything. But what was it? B. Mitch and Finley were talking about Wale should put some money down because Pitbull just got the rights to a field in Miami, I think. But I don't know, man. Maybe the left-hand up guys can throw their name in the ring and see if they can sponsor it. Or maybe SB Events.
I don't have enough money to be a sponsor, brother. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, I could throw a trip in every once in a while, but I don't have enough money for that.
Oh, maybe throw in a trip and they'll get you a Tunnel Club pass for this season coming up. And you can bring your boy for the preseason game.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I got to be able to put it on the other side of my flag, because right now when you look at my flag, you see FedEx Field because that was the field. So now I've got to be able to put the next name on my flag of who the stadium is going to be named after. So, yeah.
Is there going to be enough room, or are you going to have to get like a leaflet that they have to add to those dining room tables and like stitch it on the bottom and make the flag a little wider?
We will make room, brother. It's going on there. It's going on there.
Maybe for the next flag down the road, maybe just put like not the actual name of the field, but just a stitched picture of the stadium, right? And you can just have that on there because it takes up less room.
I don't know. We'll see. But home always goes on top. So I'll figure it out. And my seamstress will figure it out. We'll get it up there,
So is this the season that the flag's officially done?
No.
You're going to hit all the stadiums this season or no?
No. I have one more to go, and that's Pittsburgh.
Okay. I thought it was Cincy for some reason. Okay. It's Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So Cincinnati is the second to the last. If ever we decide we could play Pittsburgh in the preseason, I would have made it. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I've got to wait until we decide to play them up at their stadium, which Heinz Field, which I'm really looking forward to. And a lot of people were saying, well, just go up to the stadium and watch them play another team, like Pittsburgh and Baltimore or something like that. And I was like, No, I don't want to do that. I want to. It's my flag, my rules. When the team plays, that's when it'll get it's etched onto the flag. So I'm waiting.
So are you going to put Heinz Field, even though that's not the name of it anymore?
Whatever the name of it is, when we play them will be what goes onto the flag.
Because to me, it's always like, Jiffy Lube Live, right? For those of our listeners that are in Virginia, it's always Nissan Pavilion to me. It is, the name doesn't change, right? So I always think of it as that name. To me,
Mm-hmm.
Even though it got blown up in that one Batman movie, it's always Heinz Field, right? It's not Acrisure Field. So even if you put Heinz Field on there, we all knew.
What's the name of it now?
Acrisure Stadium is the name of it.
Acrisure. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So whatever the name of it is, when I put my butt in that seat, that's what's going on the flag.
So you don't retroactively go back if they change the name of the stadium. It's what it was when your ass was in that seat.
There you go.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I would still put Heinz Field. Because if I'm looking at that flag, no one's going to know what the hell that thing is. Like, oh, okay, you went to Heinz Field. Like, Acrisure? You go to like a JV football game? Was it like JMU playing somebody?
So I need to hyphenate it or something?
I would put Heinz and then parentheses Acrisure Stadium. At least that way they know it's Pittsburgh.
That PA will be on it's always the stadium name as well as the state. So we'll see. That might be and I've got room, so I might take you up on that.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing whenever that happens and the flag's complete. It'll be a sad day. We're gonna have to hang that thing up in Canton or in the I think there was actually a guy I saw on the news trying to sell his $6 million Commanders collection, like Washington football collection to the Commanders.
6.5. Don't you give me a 0.5 on that. He worked hard.
Who appraised this? Like what's in the collection?
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, who appraised it? It was 6.5 million. I mean, you have all your receipts or something that say the total that this is what everything cost. I mean, now if you had that, I would be impressed. I really would be. But hell, my collection that I have is worth 2 million then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm appraising stuff. It's priceless, right? That tailgate van's worth $750,000, even though right now it's not working. So I got to get it up and running. But who appraised this guy's collection? And if I'm the Commanders, maybe they'll give him a Tunnel Club pass, but I don't know how much money they're going to give him for his collection. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But this is interesting, man. I want to see what's in the collection. I do know a couple of Hogettes that wanted to sell their collection back to the team. This is actually 2 names ago, so I'm not sure if they're looking. I know that they did talk about wanting to put a museum out there and pass out hats and stuff to younger fans and try and build the fan base in the new location, wherever that's going to be. So it'd be great if we had something like that here. You go to other stadiums. I mean, obviously you go to every other stadium. A lot of teams have that, and we don't. I have a buddy from Miami coming up, and he said, hey, I can't find a stadium tour of, FedEx Field is what he still calls it. It's like, because nobody wants to tour the stadium. They're not selling tickets for you to tour the stadium. It's like,
so you can laugh at the broken pipes.
You want to go. It's like, there is a water sanitation place down on the 295. You can go roll past that and you'll get the same feeling. So it's our stadium and it's fun. But it just cracked me up that someone actually wanted to tour it because, when we were in Atlanta, right, and seeing that new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or going out to Vegas, of course, going to SoFi, you want to tour all those stadiums. Nobody wants to tour ours. I hope we get more than one win in it this year. I'm hoping that we get a chance to actually, see these guys put up. And this weekend will be the first start of actually seeing if that's true. And I got a lot of faith in this coaching staff because if Brandon Coleman and if some of these rookies can actually contribute, I am changing my season prediction, man.
Oh boy. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep mine where it was, and I am happy to say that I need to actually go to the sports book and put some more money down because I believe we're going to be all right. I really do. And before we go, for everybody that's going to Tampa, I will be hosting an official fan rally down there. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone come support that fan rally. It's in a beautiful location, large location. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have maybe an alum still working on some things, but look forward to seeing everybody down there in Tampa, basically a month away.
That's awesome, man. You're going to have to take some videos for me. And
oh, yeah.
Remind me when we're done with this. I might have another alum for you.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I hear the music playing in the background, which lets me know, as I always say, we're bringing another edition of the DMV Mess Hall to a close. Thank you for riding with us. We greatly appreciate it. Like it. Love it. Subscribe to it. Share it. All that stuff helps. It goes a long way. Well, remember, guys, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain. 3 days in a wake up. You don't rep it at all, baby. We're out.